I never thought my best friend would become my worst nightmare. Her name was Emily Parker, and for more than a decade, we were inseparable. We met in college, back when neither of us had money, connections, or a clear plan in life. We shared everything: dorm food, cheap coffee, tears over exams, and dreams of one day making it big. Back then, Emily was loud, confident, and fearless. I admired her. She always knew how to talk her way into or out of anything. I, on the other hand, was quiet, careful, and probably too trusting. She called me her moral compass. I called her my wild heart. We were sisters. At least, that's what I thought. After graduation, our lives went in different directions. I got a decent job in marketing, worked my way up slowly, and lived within my means. Emily chased luxury. She wanted the big house, the fancy car, the diamond ring, and eventually she found it, or at least she married into it. 2 years ago, she married a man named Andrew Whitmore. He was older, successful, and came from a very wealthy family. The Whitmores were the kind of people who made the social pages, charity galas, yacht parties, the whole picture. When I first saw their wedding photos online, I was happy for her, until I realized I hadn't been invited. That was the first sign something had changed. Months later, she called me out of the blue. "Hey, stranger," she said, her voice sugary sweet. "Don't be mad I disappeared. You know how crazy life gets when you're planning a high society wedding?" I smiled weakly. "I wouldn't know. I wasn't invited." There was a pause, just long enough to make it awkward. Then she laughed it off. "Oh, come on. It was a small family thing. But I missed you, really. Let's catch up soon." I should have known better. When Emily wanted something, she could turn on the charm like flipping a switch. Still, I agreed to meet her for lunch the next week. She arrived late, wearing designer clothes, and carrying a purse that probably cost more than my rent. The moment she walked in, people stared. That was Emily. She loved the attention. "Wow," I said as she hugged me. "You look expensive." She grinned. "You think so? Andrew's family spoils me. But I deserve it after all those broke years, don't you think?" We talked for a while, mostly about her life, her trips, her new house, the party she attended. She barely asked about me. I listened, smiling, though a small ache grew inside me. She was the same Emily, just richer, sharper, colder. At the end of lunch, she said we should do this more often. "I might have some opportunities for you soon. Andrew's company always needs good PR people." It sounded kind, but her eyes had that calculating sparkle I remembered too well. I left that day uneasy, like I'd stepped back into a game I didn't want to play. For a few months, we texted here and there, nothing deep. Then she stopped replying altogether. I moved on, or at least I thought I did, until one morning, everything fell apart. It started with an email. The subject line read, "We need to talk, now." It was from Emily. Confused, I opened it. The message said, "If you don't want your reputation destroyed, you'll send me $25,000 by Friday. I have proof that you stole company money years ago. I can send it to your boss, or I can delete it. Your choice." My heart stopped. I read the email over and over, my hands trembling. I hadn't stolen a cent from anyone in my life. I tried calling her, no answer. I texted her, no reply. That night, another message came through. It read, "I'm serious, Claire. You remember that old project? The one where the funds went missing? I have the receipts. Pay up or I send everything to your company." I sat on my couch, shaking, trying to breathe. She was talking about something that happened 5 years ago. A marketing campaign where the budget got messed up because of a supplier issue. It was sorted out long ago. There was nothing illegal, no missing money, just confusion. But the timing and the threat made it look bad. If she sent something to my boss, even a rumor, it could ruin me. For 2 nights, I barely slept. I kept wondering why. Why would she do this? Then I realized she must be desperate. Emily loved her new life, but she didn't have her own income. Everything was Andrew's. If she wanted money to spend freely, she needed to find it somewhere else. And I guess she decided that somewhere else was me. Still, I couldn't believe it. The same girl who once held my hair back when I cried after a breakup was now trying to extort me. By the third day, I decided to fight back. I called her again, and this time she answered. "Finally," I said, my voice shaking. "What is this, Emily? You're blackmailing me now." She laughed softly. "Don't be so dramatic, Claire. I'm just giving you a chance to make things right." "Make things right? You're lying. You know I never stole anything." "Oh, I know," she said. "But Andrew's family doesn't. Your company doesn't. And let's be honest, what do you think they'll believe? The poor little marketing girl or the wife of a Whitmore?" Her words cut deep. "You wouldn't," I whispered. "Watch me," she said. "You have until Friday. Otherwise, your perfect little life goes up in flames." Then she hung up. I sat there for a long time, numb, tears stinging my eyes. For the first time in years, I hated her. Not just for what she was doing, but for how she said it. Calm, confident, cruel. But underneath the fear, something else began to rise. Anger. If Emily thought she was the only one with secrets, she was wrong. I still remembered things from our college days. The wild nights, the things she did for money when she was broke, the older men she'd met online, the fake names she used. And I wasn't the only one who remembered. Maybe it was time someone reminded her that the past never really disappears, especially when you try to destroy someone else's future. And just like that, the fear faded. It turned into something sharper. A plan. After that phone call, I sat in silence for hours, staring at my phone, replaying every word Emily had said. The betrayal burned in my chest like acid. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about power. She thought she could threaten me and I'd fold like some scared little girl. But she had no idea who she was dealing with now. I opened my laptop and began digging through my old emails, photos, and messages from the years we were friends. Emily and I had shared everything, and I'd saved a lot more than I realized. There were photos, screenshots, and messages from the days when she was desperate for attention, chasing men who promised her money or fame. Most of it was harmless, but there were a few things that could ruin her perfect Whitmore wife act. Things that her wealthy in-laws would not want anywhere near their spotless reputation. Still, I didn't want to stoop to her level. Not yet. I needed to understand why she was doing this. So, I started watching her. I followed her social media accounts, all those carefully curated posts of expensive dinners, designer clothes, and charity galas. Everything looked perfect, but the more I looked, the more cracks I saw. Sometimes her captions didn't match the photos. She'd post a picture from an exclusive Paris trip, but a quick reverse image search showed it was an old photo from 2 years ago. She was recycling pictures to make her life seem grander than it really was. Then I noticed something even stranger. Her husband, Andrew, barely appeared anymore. In the first year of their marriage, he was in every photo. But recently, he was gone. Not even a tag or mention. That told me one thing. Something was wrong in her marriage. I decided to find out what. The next day, I called an old college acquaintance, Lisa. She had stayed close with some of Emily's old crowd, the people Emily tried to erase from her new fancy life. "Lisa," I said after she picked up, "do you still talk to anyone from college who knows Emily Parker?" Lisa laughed. "You mean Mrs. Whitmore? Hardly. She pretends she doesn't know us now." I figured. But listen, I think she's in trouble, and she's trying to drag me down with her. Lisa's tone shifted. "What happened?" "She's trying to blackmail me. Said she'd ruin my reputation unless I paid her." There was a pause. Then Lisa sighed. "Wow, that's messed up, but honestly, I'm not surprised. You know she's been lying to everyone about her past, right?" "What do you mean?" Lisa lowered her voice. "Word is, she told Andrew's family that she came from some rich background, went to private schools, and that her parents were diplomats.
total nonsense. Her dad's a mechanic, and her mom used to run that thrift store downtown. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. Unbelievable. She's built her whole life on lies. Exactly. And get this, she was seeing some guy a few months before she met Andrew, some married guy from what I heard. He was helping her pay her rent. When Andrew came along, she dropped him like a bad habit. That was the missing piece. She wasn't just manipulative. She was dangerous when cornered. After we hung up, I sat back and let it all sink in. If Emily's lies ever came out, her whole perfect wife act would crumble. The Whitmores were powerful, and they valued image above all else. They wouldn't tolerate scandal. And Emily knew that. Why? She was desperate. Desperate enough to blackmail me. I opened my email and stared at her message again. The arrogance in it made me sick. But I wasn't going to reply. Not yet. Instead, I started gathering evidence. Calmly, quietly, methodically. I collected screenshots of her old Facebook posts, the ones she'd since deleted. I pulled messages she'd sent me years ago, bragging about getting paid by a man she met online. I even found an old photo from our college party where she was drunk, waving a wad of cash and joking about sugar daddies. Crude, but real. Still, I needed something concrete. Something undeniable, something that would break through her lies if I ever had to use it. That's when I remembered something. A video. Years ago, Emily had recorded a private video message to me, crying after her affair with a married man ended. She said she felt used, broken, and ashamed. I had saved it because she'd asked me to keep it, just in case I ever need to remember who I used to be, she had said. I found it buried deep in an old folder. Watching it again made my heart ache. That version of Emily was vulnerable and human, not this cold, manipulative woman she'd become. But if she wanted to destroy me, I'd have to be ready to destroy her lies. I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. But peace wasn't possible with someone like her. The next day, I went to work as usual, pretending everything was fine. I smiled at coworkers, joined meetings, and kept my head down. But inside, I was a storm. That evening, I got another email from her. "Tick-tock, Claire. Tomorrow's Friday. You don't want me to hit send, do you?" I took a deep breath and replied, finally breaking my silence. "Emily, I don't know what happened to you, but this isn't who you are. I'm not paying you. Do what you think you have to. But remember, the truth has a way of finding its way back." A few minutes later, my phone rang. Her name flashed across the screen. I answered. "Are you threatening me now?" she hissed. "No," I said quietly. "I'm reminding you who you used to be." She laughed. "Don't play the moral card, Claire. You always thought you were better than me. Guess what? You're not." "Maybe not, but I still have something you lost a long time ago. Integrity." There was a pause. Then her voice softened, almost sad. "You think you can beat me? You can't touch me, Claire. I'm part of the Whitmore family now. No one will believe you over me." And then she hung up again. That night, I couldn't sleep. I walked around my small apartment, every nerve buzzing. I thought about all the years I'd defended her, forgiven her, believed in her. How many lies had I ignored because I wanted to keep our friendship alive? But that was over now. By morning, I had a new plan, one that would end this once and for all. If Emily wanted to use lies to destroy me, I'd use her own truth to set everything straight. The only question was how to do it without sinking to her level. Then, fate stepped in. That weekend, while scrolling through social media, I noticed a new post from Emily. It was a photo of her smiling with Andrew's mother at a charity brunch. The caption said, "So proud to be part of the Whitmore legacy. Family means everything." Family means everything. The irony almost made me laugh. Because Emily had once told me she never wanted a family, that she hated pretending to be someone's perfect wife. Now she was living a lie. Day after day.
playing the role of the woman she swore she'd never become. That post gave me an idea. A dangerous, brilliant idea. If Emily wanted to play with reputations, I'd let her own words expose her, and she wouldn't even see it coming.
I didn't reply to Emily again after that last call. She thought she had scared me into silence, but really, I was just waiting for the right moment to strike. All week, I acted normal. I went to work, met deadlines, and kept my head clear. But every night, I worked on my plan. I wanted to expose Emily's lies without ruining myself in the process. I needed her to fall by her own actions, not because I stooped to her level. I started with research. I wanted to know everything about her new life, the Whitmores, their businesses, their influence, everything. They were old money, the kind of family that cared more about image than emotion. They owned hotels, vineyards, and investment firms. They threw charity galas and rubbed shoulders with politicians. But they also had a reputation for being ruthless when it came to protecting their name. If Emily's past came out, they wouldn't hesitate to cut her off completely. That's exactly what she feared most, losing her place in that glittering world she'd clawed her way into. I found out that Andrew's mother, Margaret Whitmore, ran a charity foundation that supported young women's education. She was the kind of woman who smiled for photos but had steel behind her eyes. Perfect reputation, perfect control. If there was anyone who needed to know who Emily really was, it was her. Still, I couldn't just go to her with accusations. I needed proof, and a way to make it seem like I wasn't doing it out of revenge. I needed Emily to reveal herself, in her own words, and I had just the thing to make that happen. A few years ago, Emily used to send me voice notes late at night when she was drunk or lonely. I had dozens of them saved, little digital confessions she'd forgotten existed. In one, she talked about lying to a man for money. In another, she joked about pretending to be classy while secretly selling old jewelry online to pay her bills. And in one particular recording, she said something that made my heart stop when I heard it again. She said, "I swear, if I ever marry rich, I'll never let the truth come out. I'll rewrite my life if I have to. No one ever needs to know the real Emily Parker." That was it. That was the key. I didn't plan to publish it or anything reckless. I just needed it in the right hands, the kind of hands that would quietly destroy her lies for me. So I drafted a simple, anonymous email addressed to Margaret Whitmore, Whitmore Family Foundation. It read, "Mrs. Whitmore, I'm writing this because I believe you deserve to know who your daughter-in-law really is. The woman you know as Emily Whitmore used to go by Emily Parker. She has hidden much of her past, including the truth about how she supported herself before meeting your son. I understand the importance of family reputation. I suggest you listen to the attached voice clip carefully. It will explain everything. I'm not seeking money or attention. I only want the truth to be known." I attached the recording, created a new anonymous email address, and scheduled it to send Friday morning. Then, I waited. Thursday night felt endless. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my heart racing between fear and guilt. What if I was making things worse? What if this destroyed her completely? But then I remembered the way she'd laughed while threatening to ruin me, and that guilt turned into clarity. She chose this war. I was just ending it. Friday morning came quietly. I went to work like normal, though my hands were cold the entire day. I couldn't focus on anything. Around noon, I checked social media. Emily hadn't posted
Anything since Wednesday. That was unusual for her. She loved showing off every hour of her perfect life. I tried to brush it off, but my stomach twisted tighter with each passing minute. By the evening, I got the confirmation. Lisa texted me. "Did you hear? Emily's been kicked out of her house. Something blew up with her in-laws. Nobody knows details yet, but it's bad." I stared at the message for a long time before replying. "No. What happened?" Lisa wrote back within seconds. "Apparently, Andrew's mother found out about her past. Some recording leaked. Emily's been staying at a hotel since last night. Andrew's not answering her calls." My chest tightened.
The email had worked faster than I expected. A strange mix of emotions flooded through me: relief, anger, sadness, even pity. She had tried to ruin my life, and instead, she had destroyed her own. Still, a small part of me ached. We had once been like sisters. I had loved her like family. Seeing her crumble, even from a distance, didn't feel as satisfying as I had imagined. That night, I poured myself a glass of wine and tried to relax. I didn't celebrate. I just sat in silence, letting the truth sink in. Then, at midnight, my phone buzzed. It was Emily. I hesitated before answering. My hand shook slightly, but curiosity got the better of me. Her voice came through rough, broken, trembling. "Claire, it was you, wasn't it?" I didn't respond. "You sent that recording," she said, her tone rising. "You ruined me. You don't know what they're saying about me. Andrew's mother called me a fraud. Andrew won't even look at me." Her breathing was heavy, almost panicked. "You wanted revenge, didn't you? You wanted me to suffer." My voice was calm when I finally spoke. "No, Emily. I wanted you to stop hurting people. I wanted the truth out. You made your choices. You think you're so righteous. You always were. Miss Perfect Claire, always better than me." "Not better," I said quietly. "Just done being your victim." There was a long pause. Then she said something that cut deep. "You've destroyed me. Are you happy now?" I closed my eyes, fighting back tears. "No, Emily, I'm not happy. I'm just free." Then I ended the call. I sat there in the dark, the silence echoing louder than her words ever could. The next morning, I saw the aftermath unfold online. Whispers about the Whitmore scandal. Speculations about Emily Parker's hidden past. Photos of her leaving their mansion with suitcases, paparazzi flashing around her like vultures. And for the first time, I didn't feel small anymore. I didn't feel like the scared girl who could be bullied into silence. I felt strong. Still, deep down I knew this wasn't the end. Emily wasn't the type to disappear quietly. And if I knew her, and I did, she'd come back, desperate and angry, looking for someone to blame. And when she did, I had to be ready. Because the truth had set me free. But for Emily, it had only just begun to burn her whole world down.
I thought it was over. I really did. After the call that night, after seeing her name splashed across gossip blogs and social media whispers about the disgraced socialite, I thought Emily would finally disappear from my life. I thought she'd just fade away like one of those fake designer bags she used to carry in college. Shiny for a while, then forgotten once it tore apart. But Emily wasn't someone who faded quietly. She was fire, destructive, relentless, and impossible to ignore. 3 days passed, the internet moved on to the next scandal, and I started breathing normally again. I went to work, smiled at my boss, caught up on projects, and even slept through the night. My peace was fragile, but it was peace. Then, on Wednesday evening, my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. It was late, almost 9. The city outside was quiet, my small apartment dim except for the warm glow of my lamp. I hesitated before opening the door, a strange tension twisting in my gut. When I looked through the peephole, I froze. Emily. She stood there in a wrinkled blouse, her hair messy, mascara streaked beneath her eyes. Her designer purse was gone, replaced by a cheap tote. She looked smaller somehow. Not in size, but in spirit. I almost didn't open the door. But curiosity, and maybe a tiny bit of compassion, made me turn the lock. When I opened it, she just stared at me. Her eyes were red, her lips trembling. "Can I come in?" she asked softly. I hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah." She stepped inside, looking around like she'd entered a different world. My apartment was simple, neat, quiet, grounded. No marble floors, no chandeliers, just peace. She sat on the edge of the couch, clutching her hands together. I stayed standing, unsure whether to offer her water or throw her out. Finally, she spoke. "They threw me out." I stayed quiet. "Andrew's mom said I disgraced the family." Andrew didn't say a word, just stood there while she told me to pack my things. I swallowed hard, but I didn't interrupt. She looked up at me, her eyes sharp despite the tears. "Was it you? Tell me the truth, Claire. Was it you who sent that email?" I sighed. "Yes." Her lips parted in disbelief, though deep down I think she already knew. "Why? After everything we've been through?" "Because you tried to destroy me," I cut in, my voice trembling but firm. "You blackmailed me, Emily. You lied about me. You tried to ruin my career, my name." She stood up suddenly, her voice rising. "You think I had a choice? You think I wanted to do that? You have no idea what it's like living in that house. Every day I had to pretend. Every breath I took felt borrowed. They looked down on me. I was never one of them." "Then you shouldn't have built your life on lies," I snapped. She laughed bitterly. "Easy for you to say. You've always had your little moral compass. You'd rather be broke and honest than rich and fake. But not everyone gets to be you, Claire. Some of us had to fight for scraps." Her words hung in the air, heavy and desperate. I crossed my arms. So blackmailing me was fighting for scraps? She flinched. "I was drowning, okay? I had debts. I couldn't ask Andrew. His family already thought I was a gold digger. I needed money. I thought you'd help me if I scared you a little." "Scared me a little?" I repeated, my voice shaking. "You threatened to destroy my life." Her eyes softened. "I wasn't going to actually do it. I didn't think you'd—"
Whispered, "You ruined me, Claire." I shook my head slowly. "No, Emily, you ruined yourself." We stood there in silence. The air between us was thick with years of broken friendship, betrayal, and sadness. Finally, she said, "You could have just called me. We could have worked it out." "Worked it out?" I almost laughed. "You only ever call when you want something. You used to be my best friend, and you turned into a stranger who saw me as a wallet." Tears filled her eyes, but there was still defiance in her tone. "You think you're the hero in all this, don't you? You think you're some angel of truth, but you're just as cold as I am." I looked at her, really looked at her. Beneath the ruined makeup and trembling voice, there was still the same girl I once shared secrets with, the girl who cried with me during finals, who made me laugh until my stomach hurt. But that girl was long gone. "No," I said quietly. "I'm not cold. I'm done being your victim." She stared at me for a long time, her expression unreadable. Then, without another word, she grabbed her bag and walked to the door. Before leaving, she turned back one last time. "You'll regret this," she whispered. "You might have your job, your peace, your little apartment, but I'll rise again. And when I do, I won't forget what you did." "Then maybe this time," I said softly, "don't build your life on lies." She left without closing the door fully behind her. I stood there, listening to her heels clicking down the hall, the sound fading like the end of a painful memory. When I finally shut the door, I leaned against it, breathing deeply. My whole body shook. Part of me wanted to collapse, cry, or scream, but instead, I just whispered to myself, "It's over." But it wasn't. The next morning, I received a call from an unknown number. "Ms. Collins?" a man's voice said. "This is Detective Raymond from the City Police Department. We'd like to ask you a few questions regarding a complaint filed against you." My stomach dropped. "A complaint? What kind of complaint?" He paused. "It's regarding allegations of harassment and cyber defamation. The report was filed by a Miss Emily Whitmore." I felt the blood drain from my face. "What?" "Yes, ma'am. She claims you sent private materials and fabricated information to damage her reputation. We'll need you to come in for a statement." For a moment, the room spun. My heart pounded in my ears. Emily wasn't done after all. She was trying to drag me down again, one last time. After the call ended, I sat at my desk, numb. My hands trembled as I reached for my phone. I had proof of her blackmail, emails, messages, voice notes, but the thought of going through this mess again, of having to defend myself against her lies, made me want to scream. Still, I wasn't that same scared woman from before. Not anymore. If Emily wanted another war, I'd face it head on. But this time, I'd have the truth on record and the law on my side. Because this time, she wouldn't just lose her image, she'd lose her power.
The moment I hung up the phone with the detective, I sat there in shock. My hands felt cold, my stomach twisted into knots. I couldn't believe Emily had actually done it. After everything she'd already lost, after everything she'd done to me, she still found a way to try to ruin me again. But this time, I wasn't scared. I was angry. Calm, clear, steady anger. I made myself a cup of coffee, took a long breath, and began printing every single piece of evidence I had. The threatening emails she sent, the screenshots of her messages, the call logs, and even the recording I'd kept from the night she admitted to blackmailing me. If she wanted to bring this to the police, then I'd let the truth walk in beside me. The next morning, I went to the station. The detective, a tall, kind-eyed man in his 50s, greeted me in the waiting area. "Miss Collins, I'm Detective Raymond. Thank you for coming in so quickly." "Of course," I said quietly. "I want to get this cleared up as soon as possible." He nodded and led me into a small office. The walls were lined with case files. The air faintly smelled of coffee and paper. He gestured for me to sit, then opened a folder. "Ms. Whitmore claims you sent defamatory materials to her husband's family and the press," he said, reading from the file. "She's also alleging emotional harassment." I couldn't help but give a small, bitter laugh. "That's unbelievable." "Why don't you start from the beginning?" he said calmly. So I did. I told him everything. About our friendship, about how she blackmailed me, the emails, the threats, the sleepless nights. I showed him the messages and recordings one by one. I even played the audio where Emily's voice said, "You remember that project? Pay up or I'll destroy you." The detective's expression didn't change much, but I saw his jaw tighten slightly. He wrote notes carefully, then looked up. "You have solid evidence. Did you send that email to her husband's family and the press?" "Yes," I said. Anonymously, I attached a voice clip she sent me years ago, her own words. I didn't add lies or edit anything. I only wanted her to stop threatening me. He nodded again. "I understand. Technically, that's not harassment if it was factual and you weren't seeking to defame her, especially since you have proof of extortion attempts." He paused, then said gently, "She may have just made a serious mistake filing this report. False accusations can have consequences." For the first time in weeks, I felt my chest loosen. When the meeting ended, I left the station feeling lighter.
The autumn wind outside was cool against my skin. The city noises didn't seem so harsh anymore. Even the chaos felt calm somehow. That night, I finally slept. 2 days later, the detective called me back. "Miss Collins," he said, "we've reviewed your evidence. We've also spoken to Mrs. Whitmore. After we presented your proof, she withdrew her complaint." I blinked, barely processing his words. "She did?" "Yes," he continued. "She also admitted to sending you those emails. We'll be closing the case. If you'd like, you can file your own report against her for extortion. The evidence supports it." For a moment, I didn't say anything. My mind flashed back to Emily, the confident, charming girl who once called me her sister, the same woman who had now burned every bridge she ever built. "No," I said softly. "I don't want to press charges. I just want this to be over." The detective paused, then said, "You're a good person, Miss Collins. Most people wouldn't be that forgiving."
Maybe I just don't want to carry her anymore. When I hung up, I stood by my window, looking out at the city lights. The world looked peaceful again. A week later, I got a text, a number I didn't recognize at first. "Claire, it's me. Don't worry, I'm not here to start anything. I just wanted to say I'm sorry." I stared at the message for a long time. My heart beat slowly, heavily. Then another text followed. "You were right. I built my life on lies, and now I'm paying for it. I lost everything. Andrew's gone. His family hates me. I'm back at my mom's house, trying to start over. You didn't destroy me. I did that to myself. I just wish I had listened before it was too late." For a moment, I wanted to respond, to say something kind, something that might ease her pain. But I didn't. Not out of cruelty, but out of peace. Some things didn't need to be said. Some lessons had to be lived. Instead, I turned off my phone and walked to the small balcony outside my apartment. The sun was setting, the sky painted with orange and gold streaks. I breathed in deeply, feeling calm for the first time in what felt like forever. Emily's name no longer held power over me. The fear, the anger, the grief, all of it had burned away, leaving only strength. In the weeks that followed, life slowly returned to normal. My boss called me into his office one day and said, "Claire, I just wanted to tell you, you're getting that promotion we talked about. You've earned it." I smiled. "Thank you." When I left the office, I passed a mirror in the hallway and caught my reflection. For a second, I barely recognized myself, not because I looked different, but because I looked free. There was a time when I thought losing a friend like Emily would break me, but now I knew the truth. Some endings are not losses. Some are beginnings in disguise. I had lost a liar, a manipulator, a shadow from my past. And in exchange, I had found something far more valuable: my self-respect. I never heard from Emily again after that final text, but sometimes I still think about her. I wonder if she truly changed, if she found a way to rebuild her life without lies. I hope she did, because even though she hurt me, I don't wish her misery, just honesty. As for me, I learned something I'll never forget. The truth doesn't just destroy lies. It sets you free, even if it burns on the way out. And as the last bit of sunlight disappeared beyond the city skyline, I smiled quietly and whispered to myself, "I'm finally free."